Hey guys, it's Avenger, welcome back to the channel, and I'm very excited to take a look today at Big Radials Noorduyn Norseman. I probably mispronounced that one. The Noorduyn the Norseman. Yes. Yeah, so this aircraft is a Canadian bush plane, first introduced in 1935, so it predates the Beaver. Now, this aircraft was also called the C-46 Norseman. It saw big service in the Second World War. Single-engine bush plane, designed to operate from very similar conditions to the Beaver, including with skis, wheels, floats, the same way. And it was produced for 25 years, so over 900 of them built. A number of examples remain in commercial and private use to this day. And they've been used in 68 separate countries and flown in the Arctic and Antarctic. First flew 1935, November 14th. 42 are currently registered in Canada as operational. And this is the aircraft that Glenn Miller disappeared in. Yes, a UC-64A Norseman, flown by Flight Officer John Morgan, disappeared over the Channel on the 15th of December 1944. Either carb icing, or it was hit by bombs being jettisoned from Lancasters coming back from an aborted raid. We'll never know. But it is £17. It is available from Big Radials' website right now. Not sure about future locations. 6 liveries. 3 variants. We have standard, bush wheels, and floats. And it will include 2 bush trips that will be coming post-launch. Let's take a look, and we'll talk about some of its specs as we take a look around the aircraft. Now, the sim has decided it wants to be evening here, so we're going to correct this so you can actually see what's going on. I love it when you tell it to do a certain time of day, and it's just like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to go with whatever I feel like doing today, because I don't trust you to pick a time. So, as usual, Big Radials aircraft, beautifully built on the outside. Nice little bits of weathering and wear and tear here on the paint. Standard paintbrush weathering there on the stripe, but hey, it works. A very unusual design compared to it, obviously. You can see it's an older style aircraft, with the way the windshield is constructed there, and got these little kind of stub legs for the gear. Very detailed model. Love it. 2-blade prop up here. Very well constructed, I have to say. We have the fabric-covered wings, and we do have, I believe, the fuselage is also fabric-covered in many places. Or it could be stressed metal. I think it is fabric, looking at this. Yeah, I see no rivets or any other markings. That appears to be fabric-covered. I know there are parts, like up here at the front, where you can see it is metal. But I do believe the majority of it is fabric, potentially. I can always be wrong, but I see no riveting. I do have the detail even on the windows here, the scratching. Looks very nice. And we have the metal underside there of the fuel tanks with the drain valve. Let's take a look inside, shall we? So, statistics. Crew of 1, capacity of 10. It has a max takeoff weight of 7,400 pounds, or 7,500 with floats. Empty weight of 4,200, so you've got about a 3,000 pound useful load. Fuel capacity is varied. There were some with extra belly tanks. It's powered by a Pratt & Whitney R1340 radial, producing 600 horsepower, and it has a Hamilton standard prop, 2 or 3 blade. Now, it has a maximum speed of about 135 knots, cruises at about 110, a stall speed of about 59 knots, and a range of roughly 800 nautical miles. Now, it's quite a Spartan retro interior in here. Of course, we can do our usual hiding of yokes. We can open and close our doors. Now, I'm not sure if I can do that from the interior, because, of course, it's one of those ones where it folds all the way out of sight so you can't quite see. But we do have the ability to wind down our windows. Useful. Very retro instrumentation here, but it does have some modern comforts that are quite well implemented. First of which being up here, we have a fold-down GPS unit, which provides us with a G1000 style screen. Obviously, we can mess with this. We can get what we want to show on that. It's not realistic, it's not amazing, but it's definitely better than nothing. Quite like it, actually. Gives us some real options there. Now, we also have a very cool feature, a really cool way of introducing a, not historically correct because it's a bit too new for an aircraft from the 30s, but they were used and still are used up till today, so it's not implausible the one might not have this kind of technology in it, the old CRT screen. This feels very Fallout, I will say, especially with the scrolling on the screen. That is lovely. So it's got our things we haven't got done here. We have status, so we can close and open the doors there. Let's mess with some stuff here, shall we? Do these do something? We've got barrels, we can have cargo, we can have mixed. Let's open some cabin doors and put some chocks on there. So we have a cover over the engine. Our doors are opened up here. We have mixed cargo there with crates, passenger seats and an extra fuel tank in the back. Cargo door's quite small. This is where the Beaver's advantage really comes in with having a big cargo door. The Beaver was designed to get oil drums in there. That was its specific major advantage. Aircraft this size, you had to really limit the size of your cargo to be able to fit them inside. So, nice little features there, which we can, of course, control with this. Let's pull all those off. Now, of course, we can see various status things here. But if we were to go back... I don't remember how to go back on this, so we go X. We can pull up checklists for before. We can do startup checklists. We can go back here. We can go to settings. Cold and dark, ready to taxi, ready to take off. If we go to help, we have a rudimentary autopilot function. If we look at GPS, it pops that open for us. Click to go away. Thank you. Really simple but effective. It will do the job, but it looks periodly appropriate, which I quite like. I don't know what that does. I've not worked that out yet. But we have all our indicators as we'd want them. So we'll pop this away for the time being. I even love how the arm's animated. That's really well done. That's a cool little kind of semi-correct period feature. We're going to stop waffling. We're going to get this thing started up now. Get ourselves going. Do a little quick test flight. Because Big Radials Goose had fantastic water physics. We're going to go test the float version after this. So let's get going. So my batteries are all on. Let's make sure those are good there. Mags are on. I'm going to quickly pop up the screen here and get our checklists. Come here. Checklist, startup. So ignition is both. That is right there. We're on both. Throttle is cracked. Okay, let's make sure everything else is set to where it needs to be. Okay, prime 6 to 10 times. Start to switch and get energized for 10 seconds and start up. Prop lever is to high. So we'll leave prop level to low, I believe it needs to be right now. Let's do that. So our starter's down there, so we're going to pop this away for the time being. And I'm going to go to control 3 to give me my starter there. We'll zoom out so we can see a bit more going on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That might have helped. Oh, no, we need to go down for an energize. This should work. I may not have had the right fuel selected, but we'll find out in a second. So we'll give it about 10 seconds. Oh. I didn't fully go through with that one, but that's how you start it. We'll just cheat here. I want to see some startup effects. A lot of nice smoke. Wonderful. But she doesn't want to start for me, does she? They never want to start for me. And we are on the correct tank. Left wing. There we go. We'll go with left wing. So let's energize that again. It's always the awkward part about starting these things. It's click and drag, or click and hold. And then we go for a quick. It does not want to play ball today, apparently. I don't know what I've done wrong with this, so... Oh, fuel pump. Do we need fuel pressure? We probably need fuel pressure. That's probably exactly what I didn't do. It's funny how you miss a couple of steps in a checklist and everything. Decides it doesn't like you, does it? Got some fuel pressure there, so... Let's give it a couple of hits of the primer so we don't flood it completely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Please don't be a problematic radial. Boom. Okay, we have a start. We have a start. Wonderful. That is part of our assignment completed. Okay, so my head is now turned on there. Quite a high nose in this. I'm going to try and sit up in my seat a little bit so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. She's quite an ungainly aircraft from the forward end. Let's make sure we get our prop forward. That's with our throttle cracked. We're already starting to move a little bit here. Ground visibility is awful in this aircraft. I suspect we're going to have a far easier time on floats in this aircraft than we are on the ground. There's the Avangel angle. Can I smell toast? The Avangel hangar that was built for me, which works on the Orbex scenery. Love that one. Let's get ourselves down here. Where's that patch of grass? I can always remember there's a patch of grass here that I have to taxi around. We'll stay on the taxiway line. We'll take her a quick circuit around here at Orcus, then we'll take her up to Recluse Bay, and we will take her for a spin on the floats. That's what I'm most excited about. Most of these aircraft on ground, they handle quite well, so it's... Ooh. That's... Oh, I like the sounds. That does sound distinctly different, doesn't it? Alright. Can I see where I'm going? That's the question. Right, we're looking for 36 inches for takeoff, so we'll advance smoothly and swiftly to 36 inches. Try and keep us straight on the runway. Nose is down. A little bit of rudder work. Not super efficient with flying this right now, but speed's good. Let's pull back and lift up. Nice and easy. There we go. It's a very sputtery sounding engine, I will say, which does fit the type of engine we have in this aircraft. There we go. Our doodahs are closed. Good sound with the windows being opened. Texture and quality is quite nice. It's quite retro. Big Radials do a very good retro style of aircraft, I must say. Okay, we have got speed, so we'll convert some of this to altitude. Climbing at quite an abrupt angle there. Whereas I'm not giving it quite as much turn as I normally would. It's a little distracting with the size of the nose in this aircraft, but they are like this. Feels like my visibility is very limited. Aircraft designs from the 30s were quite unusual at times, and I can't really see how as a bush plane this would be a wonderful experience to have a nose this high. It would be quite distracting to have so much of your visibility filled with this coal pit of a front. This doesn't make much sense. How am I descending? Well, that's my nose. That's my nose up attitude. Okay, that's almost level. So this is me with my seat raised up with a booster seat apparently, and we have far better visibility that way. So our aircraft from the exterior. Sounds are lovely. I suppose I can see how small that windshield is at the front compared to the actual size of the nose of the aircraft. It definitely feels quite limiting, really. I do feel being set up a little bit is an advantage in this aircraft. You can see a lot more. Now with this open, That's going to be heckin' distracting when it takes up half my screen. Maybe that's why you sat down here. So you can see this clearly. Okay, we'll give it a little bit of a nudge there. We'll come around the hill here. We'll set up for landing, we'll bring her back in, and we'll see how she behaves on a landing approach. 59 is our limit there, so it's about 68, I think, on the... Let me check my numbers real quick. Stall speed 68 miles an hour, so 68, I was right about that. Okay, that's where we're heading to, so that's our base leg to final. Let's turn around here. Flaps are up there along with all of our trim wheels. We'll come past our final point. This is really scuffy. I find it really difficult to see a lot with this aircraft. Price is good though, £17 is very reasonable. I don't see any major systems depth functionality in the aircraft, so it's more of a experience, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the float plane's like. That could be the big sell for me. The bush plane will be very much like our regular wheeled variant, just with a bit more boing. I do want to see what the float plane's like though. So we'll bring her in here. Now flaps are out, and I'm slowing to my approach speed. Visibility of the nose is, again, really, really restrictive. These big window bars, the cables, they're making it quite hard to see a lot. The instruments are also very dark. So we're just north of 100 miles an hour, so we want to slow this down quite a bit. Drifting slightly to the side there. I almost wonder if I'd benefit from kicking her around a little bit and bringing her in sideways. Yeah, that actually helps. Considerably. I can see where I'm going now. I can see where I'm going. We are quite quick, so this will help bleed us off some airspeed. There we go. Touchdown. Nicely done there. Back pressure, apply brakes. Okay, she lands very predictably, actually. That came in all the way in there in a crab or a slip. A little bit more of a slip towards the end. And she was very predictable and well behaved. I might have the cockpit, or the dash lights, I should say, on during daylight flight because it's very dim in there. See how far back the instrument panel is from the glare shield? It's recessed under there, so it does make it quite hard to see anything. I think my taxiway is ahead of me, so we'll pull her off to the side. There we go. We'll pull her in here real quick. That will do us nicely. Okay, let's go grab the float plane and see how she floats. So here we are at Health Base Seaplane Base, just up from, well, we're kind of up from Vancouver. We're up towards Campbell Bay, just north of there, and we're in the float plane variant. Let's take a quick look outside at that. So we've got our usual dock ties, we've got our floats there. They're straight floats only with this aircraft, not amphibs. And the detailing of the floats is lovely. They look quite old and knackered. They've seen some love. I do like the look of that. Here's our model. We have our water rudders there as well. Let's see how she behaves, shall we? They've got a lot to live up to after their work on the other one. So where is this now? I know it's back here somewhere. There we go. That's our water rudder. That allows us to steer the aircraft on the water with a little bit of engine power. Line ourselves up for takeoff here. Let's get that back up again. Okay, let's go for one stage of flaps and we'll keep our stick back. Very dark in here. There we go, feel it head up onto the step. Ease it forward. We'll get up into the plough. Trying to center my controls now and get it back. Find that bite point. I don't quite know where it is, and water on flight sim is quite derpy at times. Yeah, it just wants to bounce around a little bit. Okay. And she just lifts up. Maybe I was holding her down a little bit long there. I was hoping for something along the lines of the Beaver. Not the Beaver, sorry, the Otter. Otter? No, the Goose. That's the one. Yes. The Goose. The Goose Big Radials made was wonderful. But I did notice that it had a full 16 contact points with the water surface along its hull. Plus it was a seaplane rather than a float plane. So that perhaps behaved a little bit differently. The 3D effects there, those dangling back in the airflow. She's an ungainly bird, but she's certainly effective. As one of the quotes from a pilot says, you only have to be faster than a dog sled, which is very true. You do. Let's bring her around here. So yes, I might need to practice the float flying in this thing and try and find out where its sweet spot is in terms of getting it to ride nicely on the step. But she wasn't particularly hard to take off in, and she wasn't horrific either. Points in that regard. Very dark cockpit, I will say. Very dark. Are you my cabin lighting? Compass lights. Okay, that's my parking brake. That's irrelevant to the water. Okay, it's a bit brighter in here, but not a ton. So our base is back there, just behind that pillar. So we'll circle around the island here ahead of us. We'll turn around and come back in and set up for a landing and see how she does with that. That'll be telling. Landing's a little bit easier, I think, for myself than taking off with MSFS water. I will say the sim is not the most realistic when it comes to the water behaviour. You can try and do things the way you're meant to, and it's just going to be extremely jerky, rubbery a lot of the time. But their goose was fantastic. They nailed it with that aircraft. Not sure how, but they managed to really nail it. I think maybe there's a difference between the CG of the aircraft and its contact points with the water and how it behaves. Now, I did get my flaps out too early last time. They need to come out under 108 miles an hour. Your airspeed here is in miles an hour. Okay, we're under 108. Give it a notch or two of flaps. A little bit of power to counteract that. Keep ourselves about 100. And we'll set up for our approach here. Base should be just behind the island ahead of us. Sit up in my seat a little bit here. Oh, we're coming quite steep. Let's power back. Keep myself little bounce. There we go. Ride's quite high on the water there. We'll see if she settles down and she slows. My throttle is idled. Sitting very high. Watch as you slow down and settle. Okay, it settles in more as she slows down. Good. Okay. Bite that back there. Let's hold our stick aft. There's the base, in fact. Give us some rudder. We can get some turning on the water with the rudder when you are at higher speed, where the rudder will actually be effective. But other than that, we do have to kick in that water rudder there, and you'll see us turn much more effectively and nearly tip over. So as we motor our way towards the shore, what are my thoughts? I like the aircraft. It's pretty. Do I compare it to the Beaver? Well, I have to. They're almost they're a similar job. They're identical job, really, as a bush plane. But the Beaver came later, and you can see many influences from the Norseman in the Beaver, and improvements over the Norseman in the Beaver in terms of cargo loading. Visibility is hugely improved. Rigidity, structure, performance, all are improved in the Beaver. The Norseman really is kind of the grandfather of the Canadian bush plane, and it's what kind of led us in that direction of the Beaver. Of course, they existed beforehand. Beaver was 1946, of course. But it is a very lovely aircraft. I do like this. It's wonderfully made. It's a great piece of history of aviation, and one that's worth having in your collection, even if it's just fun to fly occasionally. I certainly think it's a good one. Big Radials don't really disappoint when it comes to their aircraft, so I rather enjoy this. Hopefully you like it too. Thank you for watching. I've been Angel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!